ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So 424, we saw that when the knots of the heart, ignorance, desire and selfish actions, when they are destroyed, mainly the root cause, ignorance being destroyed completely, then there is desirelessness, there is selflessness. So where is the cause for any desire to arise, and where is the cause for any selfish action to be there? Now continuing that, in 425, many times we ask the question, how do we know that we have developed proper vairagya? How do we know that knowledge has taken place? So that 425 answers this beautifully. वासनानुदयो भोग्ये वैराग्यस्य तदावधिः अहंभावोदया भावः बोधस्य परमावधिः लीनवृत्तेरनुत्पत्तिः मर्यादोपरतेस्तु सा. So vasana anudayo bhogye, in the bhoga vastu, in the sense objects, when there is no more temptation arising, vairagyasya tad avadhi, that is the limit of vairagya, or what we call, that is the peak of vairagya, culmination of vairagya. Aham bhava udaya abhavaha bodhasya paramavadhi. The culmination of knowledge is when this sense of individuality doesn't arise anymore. Leena vrittehe anutpattihi maryada uparatestu sa. The mind which has been withdrawn and then absorbed in Brahman, now it will not rise again. The thoughts of separation will not rise again. So then that is the heights of uparati, withdrawal. So now vasana anudayo bhogye. So this line we have to understand in its fullness. What happens is sometimes because of age, because one has enjoyed a certain type of objects, one has reached a saturation point. So vasana does not arise for certain types of pleasures, but it will rise for some others. Like we may not enjoy a certain type of food anymore, but our attention goes to something else. Or we don't enjoy childhood toys anymore, but we are attached to some other sense objects. Here that is not what is meant. It is not that in a few sense objects one has vasana, and in a few sense objects one has no desire for it, but it is directed towards something else. That is not what is meant here. Nothing in this world will tempt this person. One may say, well, that is very idealistic state. It is not idealistic. It is what we have seen earlier. The reality that we have given to it and the fanciful imagination that happiness is in that out of delusion, when that is removed, there will not be any desire for it. Like the mirage example, that was what was seen. As long as the mirage is considered as real, then one runs. The moment one knows it is illusory, no part of the mirage will tempt a person. One won't say that, that was a very small mirage. Now this is a big one. Let me try something new is there here. Nothing. It is illusory and in fact it is unreal. So with clarity and reflection coupled with the withdrawal from the sense indulgence, if both these are there properly, that one has withdrawn from the sense indulgences, one does basic necessities for the body. After some point, that also one doesn't bother. That the next few verses will speak about that. The mind is fully, intensely engaged in wanting to know the truth and pursuit of the truth alone. Then this state will happen. To some extent, we also experience this state or not. A scientist who is deeply engrossed in his inquiry or her inquiry, that person he forgets everything. Day, time, food, sleep. They're intensely working on something. Some timeline, some project we have to work on. We also forget. No, at that point there is no temptation, nothing that comes, because intensely the mind is focusing on this has to be done. But in us that may last for some time. What happens in us is only that the vasana or the desire has become unmanifest, like it happens in deep sleep. The moment the environment becomes conducive, the mind relaxes, immediately those vasanas will again come up. Here when he says vasana anudayo bhogye, it will not rise only. Meaning it is not there inside to rise. If it is there inside, then it will rise. If you remember in one of the earlier shlokas, it was said vasana prakshayo moksha. Destruction of all vasanas is moksha. Especially bhoga vasana has to be destroyed because it will make the mind extroverted. Now, how is that person destroyed? Through karma yoga, one has destroyed it. Selfishness is removed. Through sadhana, turning the mind within and experiencing the inner joy, one has destroyed. Because the greater joys one experiences, the simpler and the grosser joys one will leave. So one is through selfless work. Second is through sadhana of quietening the mind, surrender to the Lord. Third is through vivek and vairagya. See the pain of that again and again. Fourth is what we had seen earlier, illusory nature. The more I contemplate on its illusory nature, more vairagya will arise. And fifth is while I'm enjoying itself, I should see what did I get out of it? Nothing. Just some temporary pleasure, wasted some energy. If that energy was saved, one could have realized the truth. One could have put in the pursuit of the truth. So these are broad ways how vasana can be eliminated, exhausted. That it will not create new vasana. So existing vasanas gets exhausted. One may say, but we have cultivated vasana for so many lives and so much of vasana is already there in Sanchit Karma, it is there. It is not yet manifest. What is manifest is Prarabdha Karma. This life, how much we have to exhaust, that is manifested. That we can exhaust through these five. And if we ensure we don't create new ones and the mind has become quieter, through that quiet mind, when we contemplate and drop this ego, in that fire of contemplation, that entire Sanchit Karma is burnt, which we saw, no? Samadhi, that Jnana Agni in the Samadhi will burn entire sanchit karma. So then whatever remainder balance was there, everything gone, destroyed. Why? Because ajnana is destroyed. Karta is destroyed. Then no karta, no bhokta, no vasana, everything gone. File closed. Why? Person died. Who died? Ego died. So we don't have to worry about so many past karmas, vasanas, what we have done. Whatever is there right now, which we are aware of, that can be exhausted. And as it keeps manifesting, ensure that through these 5 methods, we remove. Otherwise, we will add more vasana pressure. So this vairagya becomes very deep because of vivek. More and more reflection on the painful nature of the world or the pleasures and illusory nature of the world. More and more one thinks about it, the bhoga vasana will get destroyed. Because it is some delusion only that this bhoga vasana remains. It is not there. There is nothing out there. So when one understands that through proper reflection again and again and again, then the heights of vairagya will be reached where there is no desire for anything outside. Nothing. There may be thousands of toys in a toy shop, but a parent will not get attracted to any. A child may get attracted to some or all, but parent will not get attracted to anything for themselves. Similarly, the toys of the world. A person who is an intense seeker, now here though it is a realized person, so then there is no question. For them, the vairagya is purna. Nothing will tempt them. So when a person has attained that state, that is called the culmination of vairagya or the peak of vairagya, where no sense temptation in the mind at all. So there is no question of moderation. There is no question of sometimes indulging, rare occasions. None of that. Even if one engages in some sense object, it will be just purely a functional thing. There is no inner craving that because of this I feel better now. See, we saw, so we will see that now when the lockdown ends, whenever it ends, then there is a deep craving to go out and enjoy and meet people and do all that. Right now it is as though it is uh, controlled because of a certain external pressure. Now, how will a realized person be in such a time? Whether that person is within or whether that person is outside, inside there is no craving. Same state. That's what Bhajagovindam says. Yogarato va, bhogarato va, sangarato va, sangavihina. Person may be in the state of quietude or person may be engaging with the world. In the state of solitude without anybody around or with as many people around. Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam Nandati 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 Eva. Whose mind revels in that Brahman, that person alone truly rejoices. Our condition is exactly ulta. Yasya Jagati Ramate Chittam Rodati 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 Eva. Whose mind revels in the world, cries, cries and goes on crying. So Vairagyasya Anudayo Bhogye. Vairagya is that. It is not a state of disinterest or dullness or pessimism. It is a very healthy state where one has seen the reality of things. No more temptation, no more craving. So vasana anudayo bhogye vairagyasya tadavadhi. Aham bhavo daya bhavaha bodhasya paramavadhi. How, when, what is the culmination of knowledge? The peak of knowledge. So the peak of knowledge is reached when this aham bhava does not arise anymore. This small I doesn't arise anymore. Aham bhava udaya abhava. The small I will not rise. I am Mr. So and so, functionally one will know. But one knows that to be just a role. But one does not allow it to be a psychological description of oneself. That I am this person, I am the son of this person, and I am rich, and I am young, and I am handsome, I am famous, I am whatever. None of those. No psychological description. There's a very nice book. I like the title. I've not read the book yet, but the title was very nice. The title says, Being Nobody, Going Nowhere. Being nobody, going nowhere. In the world, we all are trying to be somebody. Somebody or the other I want to be. I have some psychological identity. And in absence of that identity, one feels lost as though. And that identity also, what identity I have in my mind, same identity everybody else also should have in their mind about me. So half the effort we do is to correct the image of ourselves in the minds of people. Here is a realized master who doesn't bother. So aham bhava will not arise. Why? Because the mind is absorbed in the source of that aham, small I. The small I source is the infinite consciousness. When the mind is fully absorbed in that and no more that small I rises, then that is the culmination of knowledge. Now one says, but then how is that person coming out of samadhi? See, that person coming out of samadhi, because some karma is there to push that person out of samadhi. But when the nirvikalpa samadhi abhyas becomes very strong, is coming and going also, one knows. It is like we going in, when we from the waking state, when we go to sleep and we dream, when we are in the waking state, we know that when we go into dream, it is illusory, nothing happens actually. But some process of nature is there, so from waking we go to dream. And dream one experiences so many things. Is there any craving that I want to go into the dream? No craving. Spontaneously one just goes. Nobody craves, I want to dream and I want to have the same dream again. Nothing. In the same way, this process may happen because it's a natural process. And in some people, that process also will not happen. If you remember, we have seen the 7 levels of Jnana, Sapta Jnana Bhumika. Some masters, they get absorbed in that truth, they never come out. The body will just perish. They are just in that state, finished, absorbed completely. So whether they don't come out of that state or they come out, but like how we go into dream state without any sense of craving, in that way they may come out, but the aham bhava does not arise. So aham bhavasya udaya abhava. Small I will not arise. In other words, the identification that I am this pancha kosha, that will not arise. I am the body, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. I am none of these. That clear experience one has that I am Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. That's all. So the culmination of Vedantic knowledge is in this intuitive experience. And these are the two sides of the same coin. On one hand, they are absorbed in the absolute truth. On the other hand, the small I doesn't arise. Then knowledge has fulfilled itself. Now that person no more needs, that state actually is what the Vedas describe as where the Vedas become yatra Vedaha Avedaha Bhavanti. Meaning one has gone beyond the scriptural injunctions, beyond the Veda also, because one has gone beyond the Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all the three gone. So instructions also are not required anymore. If one has reached the destination, one will switch off the Google map. We have reached the destination. Now Google map not required. So if you want to write in modern language, you can write Yatra Google Agoogle Bhavati. Where Google is not required. I use the Google map, I reach the destination. Now what to do? Put it off. That is the state. No more Vedic knowledge is required. No more Nididhyasan also is required. All knowledge has culminated in this state of abidance in the self, and not a glimpse, not just a glimpse and coming back, going abidance. After abidance, even if one comes out, this ahambhav doesn't arise. If there is a glimpse only, then it is just the beginning of realization. One is starting to comprehend that state. One will again come back. Some ahambhav will rise. So some ahambhav will rise. Of course, that ahambhav will not be as strong as it was before one went into that state of samadhi. But slowly, that also will stop as the abidance becomes firm. So till that point, Vedic instructions or the Guru's instructions, the contemplation, etc., all has to be done. After that, nothing required. Aham bhava udaya bhava bodhasya paramavadhi लीना वृत्तेः अनुत्पत्तिः मर्यादा उपरतेस्तु सा. Leena vritti. When the thought has become fully absorbed, withdrawn from the world, fully absorbed in the self, that is the culmination of uparati. How long should I withdraw from the world? Till the abidance in the self. How long should I take medicine and follow the instructions given by the doctor that don't eat such and such type of food? You have fever, so don't eat ice cream, cool drink, don't do all this. How long? Until the fever goes. In the same way, till that bhavaroga is there, uparati has to be practiced. When the mind has completely merged in that self, uparati is also culminated. In the second and the third line, the only difference is uparati is the means for absorption, which will lead to this bodha, supreme realization. Then the ahambhava does not rise. So these are three as though instructions given so that we practice it up to this point. Because what happens to a seeker is one practices little, then one becomes very complacent. Say, I got it. Some few objects we get vairagya, so we think we got purna vairagya. Some little withdrawal we are able to do, so we think we have lot of uparati. Some intellectual knowledge of the shastra we got, so we say I am great, I have reached the peak of knowledge. I have read all the Upanishads, now Brahma Sutra also. Now peak of knowledge reached. No. One may have read only one book. No, Ramana Maharshi didn't read so many books. But he was abiding in the self. Aham bhavaha. No. Small I doesn't rise only. That is the peak of knowledge. So we become very complacent, easygoing. This happens in many things. It is not just in spiritual life. Here it is much more subtler. Suppose one has to lose some weight. Suppose target is 10 kilos. If moment one reaches 8 kilos, one feels very happy. One starts becoming complacent. And now they have what they call cheat day also. Now because you have lost 8 kilos, you can allow yourself to indulge and enjoy. Very good. In the world, maybe people require it and at least somehow they are doing it. No cheat day allowed in realization. Till the peak is not reached, go on. Charaiveti, charaiveti. Upanishads are very clear. Go on walking, don't stop. Because the mind doesn't know to stop, it will fall down. One has to go on climbing up, up, up. Till the peak is reached, one has to put effort, go on climbing. And so, the reason why the limits are given is so that we know that this is where we have to reach. When can we say that we have full vairagya? When no object in the world can tempt me at all. One can make a list saying what are the objects that tempt me even today. Where the mind has a craving that if I get this, oh, what life will be so amazing. One can make that list. What are the things which provoke my ego? Invoke and provoke my ego. It may be things, it may be some type of people, it may be certain types of expressions. What provokes my ego, what invokes my ego, and what makes me come out of a state of absorption. First of all, what is that in which my mind gets absorbed? That first I should know. And if does it get absorbed in work, does it get absorbed in the truth, does it get absorbed in the Lord? Where does it get absorbed? In the study of the Shastra, where? No, Swamiji, my mind gets absorbed happily when I am watching some movie. We are not talking about that absorption. Withdrawal and absorption, uparati. If I am withdrawing, so when I am doing work, I am withdrawn from everything else and engaged in that fully, where I forget myself completely. No, but that I am able to do in movie also. In that there is bhoga vastu. In that there is bhogya padarth, there is a bhog, enjoyment, indulgence happening. In work, work is better than bhoga. Better than work is jnana. So bhoga, karma and jnana, this is the progression. Each one is subtler than the previous one. So jnana is the subtlest. And from jnana then to realize the bodha. So from intellectual knowledge to then apply properly the entire withdrawal and get absorbed in the truth. That bodha has to arise. So I should find what are the things in which my mind is absorbed right now, getting absorbed right now. Is it gross? Is it subtle? What is it? Can we not have a balance? That's why I said that it's up to a person's intensity of seeking. If one wants to have a balance between rope and snake, now have the balance. What else can be said? If one says, no, there is no snake, I want to know what is this behind the snake intensely, then one will not talk about any balance. One will just inquire into it straight. So all these are to make us aware by telling that this master has reached these heights and encourages us to not rest till we reach those heights and keep walking. So now this section comes to an end here. What was the attitude of the Jivan Mukta towards the body? Those aspects we saw in the earlier section. Now here, next section comes, what are the signs of a realized person? Because everybody would like to know what are these qualities of the person who is realized. So like it is in the Gita, Sthita Prajna Lakshan, what is their state when they are absorbed in the Samadhi and what is the state when they come out of it? Some come out of it, some don't come out of it. So what is their experience? A seeker wants to know that so that one will know that this is what I have to discover. One. Two, if we meet such a person, one should consider oneself very, very lucky and blessed that we have met such a person who has experienced the Brahmi Avastha. So the way in which we approach that person and relate with that person has to be that how you and I can reach that state. Not ask for some petty little thing, some money, some power, some position. They can bless with Brahmi Avastha. Why ask some petty little thing? Why drag some conversation in some worldly direction? So how to connect to such a master, how to recognize such a master, how to connect to that master, and ultimately how to realize that state is why this description comes. So again, now in Vivek Chudamani, this will come. Sometimes earlier also it has come, here much more clearly and exclusively it has been pointed out. So 426. ब्रह्माकारतया सदा स्थिततया निर्मुक्तबाह्यार्थधीः अन्यावेदितभोग्यभोगकलनौ निद्रालुवद्बालवत् स्वप्नालोकितलोकवज्जगदिदं पश्यन् क्वचिल्लब्धधीः आस्ते कश्चिद् अनन्तपुण्यफलभुक् धन्यः समान्यो भुवि. So he says Brahmakarataya Sada Sthitataya. Because the person is all the time completely engaged, absorbed in that Supreme Brahman, Nirmukta Bahyarthadhihi. All the sense of world outside one is freed from. Nirmukta Bahyarthadhihi. Meaning one's withdrawal has become complete. See what was said earlier as Uparati's peak, that is this. And Brahmakarataya is the peak of knowledge. Bodhasya avadhi it is. Paramavadhi. Bodhasya paramavadhi. So Brahmakarataya sadasthitataya nirmukta bahyarthadhihi. Anya vedita bhogya bhoga kalana nidraluvat balavat. Now they enjoy anything offered to them by others. Not they don't have the craving for it. Anya avedita bhogya. Meaning they will bring, somebody will bring some fruit, somebody may bring some water or even clothes or anything. They will bring. Anya avedita bhogya bhoga kalana. How do they engage in that? Nidraluvat balavat. Like a sleeping man or like a child. Now what is the meaning of like a sleeping man or like a child? So Gurudev has given two nice meanings here for a sleeping person. One is that, sometimes when one is sleeping, let us say the bed sheet which one was using to cover oneself, that bed sheet has gone somewhere and one is sleeping somewhere else and it becomes very cold. So somebody comes and puts that bed sheet properly on you. Now one feels warm, one takes the bed sheet and feels cozy, warm, and one huddles in that. But one doesn't know who helped, unaware of who came, who, what, when it happened, when this bed sheet was, left aside, when it was put back on me. No awareness of it. Why? Because absorbed in sleep. So that is one meaning, that this person is the mind is absorbed in such a high state that sometimes they don't recognize also who is the person who is helping this body to sustain. You see, in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's life, his nephew was there. His name is Hriday. He used to sustain the body of Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna goes into samadhi. Now, sometimes standing only is gone into samadhi. Now that Hriday is holding his body, because otherwise he'll fall down. And he doesn't want to disturb him, and you can't tell him, why are you standing and taking samadhi? Now you sit down, now go into samadhi. Mind gone into samadhi is gone now. Now you try to shake their body and try to put them down, then disturb the samadhi. One should not do that. So he used to hold. And now and then if the mouth opens from the side, he will put some water. So this person is like that. Nidraluvat means Who is taking care of this body? They are not aware, because nirmukta bahyarthadhi, completely unaware of the externality. So this is one meaning. The second meaning is what Gurudev has given is there is complete cessation of the world. Like in the sleep, there is absorption in that state of sleep, no awareness at all of anything outside, complete cessation. That is the state here. Complete cessation of the world. If you remember the 7 stages, in that one stage comes Turyaga. Turyaga Avastha is where this person has, he will go into that state but will not be aware of the world at all and will not even come out. That is the final state, last state, Turyaga. Saptagnana Bhumika, you see, just sharing that again here. This is Turyaga Avastha, who does not come out of it also. But there are avasthas before that, where this Padartha Abhavana is there, where objectlessness, complete withdrawal from the world outside, there is objectlessness, one doesn't see anything in the world outside, but one may come out of it. How? By the effort of others, not because of one's own uh, inner karmas or inner vasanas or karma. No. The earlier stage is that asam sakti is where the person comes out because of one's own karma. But the padartha bhavana is where one doesn't come out of one's own effort. Somebody will bring them out of it. It can be anything. It may be consciously they bring them out, or it may be that something happens around them which can disturb their samadhi. Anyhow, the persistent efforts of other people, then they come out of it. And the last one is where they never don't come out of it at all. That is called Turyaga. In that state, they realize and they drop the body. So now the point here is that Vivek Chudaman is trying to say that Nidraluvat means that where the complete cessation of the world has happened, like in sleep, we are not aware of anything happening around us. So Nidraluvat and Balavat. Balavat means a child enjoys without any sense of uh, awareness that this is called enjoyment. I'm talking about a very small child here. It just enjoys. It has not yet developed what we call likes, dislikes. It will try to consume anything given. It doesn't know what is good, what is bad. It will take mud also and eat. It will take some toy also and put in the mouth. It will drink the milk that mother gives, eat some food, anything. It will try to experience through trying to eat, meaning that awareness is still not there. Of course, in a child, it is because of that age, that stage of life. What it means to say here is that if that person comes out of the state also, one may engage in the world of objects, but no likes and dislikes. Second, see, somebody may say that no, but they exhibit likes and dislikes. Suppose you see likes and dislikes also, it is all falsified. That we have seen earlier, that how they see it as a role. And the role has some likes and dislikes. I am a Sakshi, I am not this role. So, Balavat. Another meaning of Balavat is where the child lives moment by moment in the present. There is no hang up. For a very small child, it is every moment is now, here and now. There is no burden of the past, memories, regrets, none of those. No anxieties for the future. He is living in the now. So this person lives moment by moment here and now. So Nigraluvat Balavat. Person is absorbed in the timeless. And if at all they come back to this state, whenever they come out into this state, the regrets, tensions, anxieties are not there. They live here and now. What has to be done, they may do, but nothing, no regret, no anxiety, no tension ever. Who is tensed about the dream they have? Who is tensed about movies they are seeing which they know is unreal? That's the state of these masters. Swapna lokita lokavat jagadidam. So even if they see the world, they see it as a dream state. Pashyan kvachil labdhadhihi. With this attitude, they see this whole world. Aste kaschid, and they abide in this self. How? Kaschid ananta punya falabhuk. It is because of some innumerable punya karmas that they have done, that the result of that they are experiencing right now in the form of this absorption in samadhi or abidance in the self. Ananta punya falabhuk dhanya samanyo bhuvi. That person is indeed blessed and rare in this world. So what is this state? This is a state of absorption. And while they come out from that state, if they come out, then it is like a dream or like a role that one is playing, which one knows it is illusory, not getting affected by it at all. Now from here, 427, 16 verses are the man of realization. And in that, from the verse 429 onwards, actually, all the verses, most of the verses will come into this line. Last line will be Sajivan Mukta Ishyate. That person is called as a Jivan Mukta. So actually there is not much new ideas now conveyed in this upcoming verses. What we see is the strengthening of the existing ideas only. So let us see 427. स्थितप्रज्ञो यतिरयं यः सदानन्दमश्नुते ब्रह्मण्येव विलीनात्मा निर्विकारो विनिष्क्रियः. So here is a person who is a sthita prajna. Yatihi. Yati means one who is self-controlled person. And one who puts efforts is called yati. Yatnam karoti iti yatihi. One who puts great efforts is a yati. And what are the efforts? The efforts are to live in self-control, to absorb in the self. And with great effort, that person has got abidance in the self. So, sthita prajna yati ayam. This person who is a yati, he is called sthita prajna. Now, sthita prajna is a very special word which is found in the Gita mainly. It is not even in the Veda, it is in the Gita. It's a special word coined by Veda Vyasji, found in the Gita, and then it is used in other places like this, in Vivek Chudamani and other places. What is the meaning of Sthita Prajna? Sthita means abidance. Prajna means wisdom. One whose prajna is sthita in Brahman, in Atman, that person is called Sthita Prajna. So Sthita Prajna Yatihi Ayam. Our prajna is sthit in other things. Our prajna is sthit in Ahankar. And for the pushti of that Ahankar, nourishment of that Ahankar, now we define ourselves through power, position, name, fame, money, objects, status. So then our prajna is sthit in all that. This person's prajna is sthit in the Atman, in the self. So sthita prajna yatihi ayam. who Yaha Sadanandam Ashnute, who revels in the bliss all the time. Brahmani eva Vilinatma. Sadananda itself means the bliss of the self, eternal bliss of the self. And that is the nature of Brahman. Brahmani eva Vilinatma. Eva is the important word in this. Only in Brahman. Our mind revels in many other things apart from Brahman. No Brahman, no awareness of Brahman. Abides in everything else. Here it is only in Brahman. Brahmani eva Vilinatma. Nirvikaraha, no modification of the mind, meaning the thoughts don't arise, the egoistic thoughts don't arise, and Nishkriyaha. In the state of absorption, they live beyond thoughts, beyond action. If they come out of it also, action happens through them, there is no sense of doership. So if there is no sense of doership, then there is, that state is called Nishkriya. So this is the answer actually that Shri Krishna gave to Arjun when Arjun asked 4 questions in Sita Prajna Lakshan. In the second chapter of the Gita, last 18 verses are the answer of Shri Krishna, and 1 verse before. So verse 54 is the question of Arjun. 55 to 72 is the answer of Shri Krishna. So in that, the question Arjun has asked is divided into 2 parts. Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha. What is the state of this man of realization? Samadhisthasya Keshava. In the state of samadhi. That if one has withdrawn from BMI, what does one experience? Is it zero? Is it blank? Is it vision? Is it light? What is it? And if that person comes out of that state, whenever that person comes out, Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. How does that person speak? How does that person sit? How does that person move? Now, doesn't mean that how does that person sit means does it sit in Padmasan, Sukhasan, Vajrasan, which asan? How does he speak? Meaning, will he speak only in Deva Bhasha, Sanskrit, or will he speak in some other language also? And how does he move about? Meaning, will he walk? Will he fly? Does he pass through air, water? He can walk on water, go through fire. How does he move? None of that it means. How does he sit? Meaning, do the objects still tempt that person? How does he speak? Meaning, how does he relate to people? How does he move about? How does he relate to situations? In that, the first question was, what is the state of this person in samadhi? There, Krishna gave the answer. Rajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyeva atmana tushtaha sthita prajnas tadochyate. When that person is abiding, has dropped all the desires born out of the mind. Sarvan manogatan kaman, one has dropped, Rajahati. Dropped properly, not temporarily to pick it up. Complete Vairagya, what was said earlier, no? No sense temptation will arise at all in the mind. That state is dropped completely. And then what is that person doing? Atmani eva atmana tushta. Abiding in the self, by the self, one is reveling in that bliss. Now that shloka is what is reworded here. Sada anandam ashnute brahmani eva vilinatma nirvikaro vinishkriya. So this is the state of that person in samadhi avastha. And we should remember that this state continues even outside samadhi. Only difference is that that person is additionally playing a role. So it is like the actor. When the actor is not playing a role, the actor is only the actor, bas. But when the actor is playing a role, the actor is actor plus role. And the role is known to be illusory. So even if they come out of that state, their abidance in Sadananda, Brahman, etc. doesn't get disturbed. That continues as it is. So this is one shloka. That's this person is a Sthita Prajna. So how to know this person now? Obviously, there are no external signs of this. It's not that, they will develop some special sign. Oh, this person is realized. Why? Because now this person has horns, or this person has got a tail, or some exclusive feature. Something happens that nothing will happen. Outside, they will look similar. But when we associate with the person, then we know from where are they operating. We operate as individual ego, they operate as the cosmic being. Their vision is like that, abiding in Brahman. So it requires some association, and more one associates with that person, one comes to understand this person is reached that state. But obviously this is not to judge anybody, this is just to become clear and aware that what are the qualities one should look for in a person who is realized. Because many times people get very carried away by some siddhi, some power, some miracle, some blessing that can be given. There are out there people who call themselves God men and who call themselves avatar and whatnot. And people also get carried away. If I am a seeker, I will know very clearly how much who has reached where. Because the Shastra gives the full map. Again, I am saying it is not to judge other person, it is to protect oneself from getting disillusioned, getting carried away. That is all. I should start walking the path. Then I will know the truth. I will find the right person also. So now this is the state in Samadhi. One more verse comes of the same state. Brahmatmano shodhitayoho ekabhavavagahini nirvikalpa cha chinmatra vrittik pragneti kathyate susthita sa bhavedyasya sthita prajnah sa uchyate. Brahmatmanoho shodhitayoho ekabhava avagahini. That activity which admits only the identity, ekabhava avagahini, of the self and Brahman. Nirvikalpa, where there is no thought, no limitations. Chinmatra vritti, only pure knowledge and awareness is that state. Chinmatra vritti, prajna iti kathyate. And that state is called the state of realization. Susthita sa bhavedyasya. One who is firmly abiding in this state, Sthita Prajna Sa Uchyate. That person is called Sthita Prajna, meaning one who abides in the state of Brahman, where all thoughts have ceased, where there is no sense of duality, where the only experience is Chinmatra Vrittihi, is a pure awareness alone which is experienced in that state. No other duality exists. And one who abides in that state. Now this abidance is called Sahaj Samadhi. One who has experienced Sahaj Samadhi, that person is actually called Sthita Prajna. So what we define generally, Sthita Prajna Yasya Saha. One whose Prajna is firmly fixed is Sthita Prajna. That is defined here as Susthita Sa Bhaved Yasya. One who is firmly established in this state, that person is a Sthita Prajna, the man of realization. So as I said, some of the points now will be repeated, so we will go a little faster. Yasya sthita bhavet prajna yasya nando nirantaraha prapancho vismrita prayaha sajivan mukta ishyate. Yasya sthita bhavet prajna, one whose sense of identity has shifted from small I to the big I, and who is established in that state, steady wisdom. Anando nirantara, and whose bliss is endless. Prapancho vismrita praya, and one who has forgotten this world of objects. That person is Jivan Mukta. That is a Jivan Mukta. Now, so many times it keeps coming, forget the world of objects, one who has no awareness of that world, absorbed in that state. See, a person who wants to know this state. Now, Mumukshutvam and Vairagya are tested when we see the response of this state. The whole world will be dissolved, one will absorb in that state. Now, if the person has intense Mumukshutvam and Vairagya, that person will have great desire to experience this state, because that is my true self. So there is no hesitation. But a person, when one reads this and one says, but is it necessary? Do I have to leave this world? Do I have to drop my attachment to all this? It's very scary. What will be that state if all this world disappears? What will I experience? That means some attachment is there. I don't want to drop the world. So we should remember those earlier analogies given there. Either mirage, which is illusory, or vomit. Who wants to go hold on to a vomit? Or corpse. Any of these analogies one remembers, one should strengthen the Vairagya. Because the state of withdrawal from the world, and world includes the BMI, is the state of Sada Anando Nirantara, unending bliss at all times. Nirantara, no break. Unbroken bliss. Sada Ananda at all times. Which is what we actually want. We want to be happy at all times, in all places, in all possible ways. So this is the only method to do it. But we want to seek it from the world, holding on to the temporary things. I want this permanent happiness. It will not work. So if I become very clear that that is what I want, the state of the Supreme, then one will be curious, how can I prepare myself for this state where the world, I will lose all awareness of this world, get absorbed in the self, and know what is that my true self. So when they say here prapancho vimrita prayah, vismrita prayah, there is full cessation of the world. Prapancha means that what is made up of 5 elements. Pancha, prapancha, that is called the world. The world is made up of 5 elements. That is one meaning of prapancha. The other meaning of prapancha is going on doing some gossip, some backbiting, some worldly talk. This person has gone beyond all that long back. Drop, all of that. So prapancho vismrita prayah. That person is absorbed in that state of samadhi. That is a state of jivan mukti. लीनधीरपि जागर्ति जाग्रत धर्म विवर्जितः बोधो निर्वासनो यस्य sajivan mukta ishyate. Now some verses which will come, they will end with this, sajivan mukta ishyate. That person is called as a jivan mukta, who leenadhirapi jagarti, whose mind is absorbed in Brahman, but still one is very alert. Meaning, many people have misunderstanding that that is a state of thoughtlessness, blank, dullness. No, it is a state of complete awareness and alertness. Jagrat dharma vivarjita. The world one has not experienced fully, while one is not experiencing, one has withdrawn from that fully, and one is not lost in some state of dullness, blankness. No, alert, very alert. Jagarti. Jagarti here means alert. Leena dhirapi jagarti. Even though the intellect is absorbed in that state, it is alert. You may say it is absorbed and alert means what? See, what it means to say is that it is not a state of dullness, nor is it a state of complete identification with the world outside where the triputi is there. The experiencer, the experienced, and the experience. This triputi is not there in that state. But it is still a state of awareness. It is not a state of dullness and blankness. If somebody says, who is aware of that? That's the limitation of language. Awareness is aware of itself. Because ego is not there. We can't say ego is aware of the self, then that defeats the whole purpose. Ego is what has to be dropped because that's an unreal thing. A snake cannot be aware of the. Actually, that example is not appropriate. We have to say who is the waker. The dreamer only is the waker. In the waking state, the dreamer doesn't exist. The dreamer was appearing because the waker, using the power of dreaming, appears as the dreamer and the dream characters. In the state when the dream has ended, the dreamer has woken up, one realizes I am the waker. So it is not a state of dullness, it is not a state of blank, it is a state of awareness where awareness becomes aware of itself. Bodho nirvasano yasya, and whose knowledge is free from any type of vasana or desire. Meaning, the pure self is what is experienced. It is not an intellectual knowledge. Our knowledge is contaminated with desire. So, though there is the knowledge of self, there is a desire which is there in the mind and intellect that contaminates it. This is free from desire. Bodho nirvasano yasya sa jivan mukta ishyate. That person is called as a jivan mukta. So, in this, Gurudev has explained given one expression here where he says that. In the first para you see here, he is a Jivan Mukta whose intellect is merged in Om, the reality. Even the thoughts are thus merged. He is brightly awake. In sleep, when the mind and intellect have become quiet, we are not conscious of the world. On awakening to the higher reality, the mind is as though asleep, but the individual as though awake, wakeful sleep or sleepless sleep. That's the expression he has used. Wakeful sleep. Wakeful sleep in the sense I am not aware of the world outside, but still I am awake to the self. So asleep to the world, awake to the self. That is called wakeful sleep. Or sleepless sleep. It is not truly sleep because I am not in a state of dullness. I am aware of the consciousness. So that's what Gurudev has used. Consciousness, bright and vigilant, but not apprehending any object. Therefore, this state is called objectless awareness. That's the state of realization. So now next few verses, they all will come like this. Sajivan Mukta Ishyate, Jivan Muktasya Lakshanam, all that. That we will take up tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.